Hi lovelies, and welcome back to my channel and welcome back to today's Read the Room, which as you can tell by the title of this video is for the Jacksons. Now today marks the anniversary of Michael Jackson's passing, and so I only thought it'd be fitting that today's Read the Room be for the Jacksons. It won't be all the Jacksons, I have hand selected a few that I felt interested in and called to. So yeah, I'm really excited to do this. Please leave some love for Michael down in the comments below. Love only. Please leave your favourite Michael Jackson song. Don't ask me mine. It's legitimately impossible to choose. You know, the Jacksons brought so much to music. They are literally music royalty, and Michael is the king, not just of pop, which I feel like is not a worthy title of him. He's not the king of pop. Like, Michael is the king of music. So I'm so happy to be doing this, and let's get into reading for the Jacksons. Today we are reading for Joe Jackson, Miss Katherine Jackson, Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson and Paris Jackson. As I have been doing with all Read the Rooms, I have made some premeditative notes, but interestingly enough, as I got towards Janet's energy and towards Michael and Paris, who will be the last two people I read on in this room, something told me to just not meditate on the energy and to just read them as we go. So I'm going to get into it. I hope you enjoy. One of the first things I want to say that I actually picked up on the Jacksons in general, and I wrote this down, is the Jacksons were not allowed to feel. The only time they could express themselves emotionally was through music, which is why their music was actually so magical. It was the only place they could pour their heart and soul, and I really do feel that through each of their energy there's a lot of stunted emotion and a lot of unhealed trauma with a lot of them, which is so sad. And Spirit actually linked me back to, I heard someone say once that when people go through certain abuse as children, or certain situations that cause them not to develop, their voices can actually become stuck, which is why they sound, you know, quite high-pitched, and they can sound quite childlike. And I really linked that to the Jacksons, because they have got these really high-pitched voices, which, you know, does make me feel like some of them haven't really progressed, you know, mentally, internally in age. And I felt that for a few of them as I went through. But we are going to start reading with Joe Jackson. Now, I was shocked as I began to connect with Joe's energy, the amount of like remorse and kind of like sorrowfulness that came through from Joe. One of the very first things that came through, and I've got it here, is he found it very hard to forgive himself when he crossed over, and he could then reflect on his life. And I do feel that he's spent quite a lot of his time over on the other side in a reflective state. Joe Jackson was born on the 26th of July 1928 and passed over on the 27th of June, which is actually in a few days, I didn't know that, 2018, and he was 89 when he passed. So he hasn't been passed over for a long time, and I still feel he is in this reflective state, looking back at his life. And a lot of the things he was saying to me was like, I wish I could have done things differently. Looking back, I would have done it differently. Yeah, he found it very hard to forgive himself when he got to the other side. Again, I've got here, wish could do it again, could only give what my father gave me. I heard that, I could only give what father gave me. He could only give what he had. And one of the things I really felt with Joe Jackson is he walked around very angry. There was a lot of anger when he was on earth, a lot of anger harboured in his body. Even as I can feel him very physically as he walked, he had a very stern presence. Like when he entered a room, you would know, because his energy was so strong. He had a very strong and powerful energy, and he, you know, I think he would say, it's okay for me to say this, he really did play on that energy when he was here. And I feel like a lot of his childhood and even coming up as a young man, like early 20s, he felt a little bit powerless. And so when he did get power and money and fame, he ran with it. And I have got here, where is it? Sorry, yeah, he loved money and power, and he became very power and money hungry. And the more he got, the more he wanted. He loved the attention, he loved the power, he loved to really flaunt his status. He really loved that, and he was always surrounded by, I could just see him with a lot of women. And I do feel that there was infidelity in the marriage. I did write that down here. As I picked up on other women, I also did feel other pregnancies with these women. Now, I don't know whether those pregnancies went full term or whether those children were born, but I do feel other pregnancies with other women outside of his marriage. Lots and lots and lots of talk of forgiveness, lots of forgiving himself, forgiving those who harmed him. And very interestingly, one of the things he actually said, or I could feel him say, like as I connected with his energy, was, I didn't forgive those who hurt me and it caused me to hurt others. And I thought that was so powerful. I didn't forgive those who hurt me and it caused me to hurt others. Forgiveness is so powerful. And forgiveness doesn't mean that you forget. It doesn't mean you forget what others did to you or how they treated you, but it means that you can let yourself be at peace with what happened and you don't go on to treat others the same way. And he really, one of the things I pick up so strongly in his energy is this want to forgive and this want for others to forgive him. And this real feeling like if I could go back, I would have done it differently. I would have acted differently. I would have behaved very differently. And, you know, I feel like when he passed over and he was able to look at his life in hindsight, there was a lot of shock at the way he treated his wife, his family, his friends, his associates, just people in general. He wasn't very nice, and he does definitely see that from the other side, which is great. He talked about ancestral trauma when he talked about the, you know, wishing he could have forgiven those who hurt him. There was a lot of pain inflicted on him as a child. I've just done that because I feel there was physical abuse on him as a child, because I just feel like, you know, hitting and, you know, that kind of energy. And this just okay, I also hear he wasn't allowed to cry, which is where this thing of not expressing your emotions are. And do you know what's really interesting? I feel like he's showing me now, his kind of father saying to him, do not cry, like do not cry. And I feel it being said to him very sternly, like after, you know, being abused, really. I feel this. And his father literally looking him in the eye and saying, don't you dare cry. And him being so internally angry and hurt, and I can feel the tears in the eyes and just trying to hold. So it's actually really sad, sorry, it's really sad. I can feel his tears, like that holding back of like that choking on the, like, you know, and him being that sadness turning to anger, because sadness and anger are two very, you know, they're very close emotions. And they do say, I think it's Tony Robbins that says, you know, when you're hurt, you either go to sadness or you go to anger, and then you'll switch. And his sadness very soon turned to anger. And as he grew up, that's what it was. And, you know, he didn't, if his children cried, it was such a trigger for him, for Joe. Such a trigger. Okay, he wants to talk about his treatment to his wife because he's also apologetic about that as well. He wishes he could have treated her better, and he does say that he did love her, but he definitely didn't show it in the right ways. And, you know, he is going like this kind of at himself and just saying, you know, he is aware of how he acted, and he is asking for forgiveness from those who he loves. And also he's asking for forgiveness of himself. But yeah, going back, like that same pattern, so that ancestral trauma of where he wasn't allowed to cry, I feel like that was then brought into his home, to his children, like, don't you dare cry, don't you dare. Like, if his kids even any glint of tears in their eyes was such a trigger for him, because he wasn't allowed to cry. And I feel like this is an ancestral trauma that went so far back in their family. And he's talking about that. And so he's talking about forgiveness and that really being like a break of a chain in ancestral trauma, which is really interesting that he came through with that. Yeah, I've got here affairs and secret children. I feel like Joe Jackson had a lot of mistresses on the road, specifically because I feel like he's taking me to different states, and I feel like he had a lot of affairs. And I can just see Katherine, which we'll move on to, at home alone. She didn't go on the road. Absolutely not. She was not allowed. I feel like she wasn't even allowed on the road. And he was very controlling in that way. Again, it's this power thing. It's like this, you know, don't cry, don't show emotions, don't even go there, don't even bother. There's no point. And if you did, you would anger him so much. And he's almost like embarrassed. I can feel the energy now. He's almost like embarrassed of the way he is embarrassed. He's embarrassed and ashamed of the way he behaved. And he just wants to really home in on forgiveness, you know, and like he's saying, you know, you don't have to forget how someone treated you or what they did. You don't have to become friends with them or, you know, spend all this time, but forgiveness will heal you and it will heal trauma. And that is what stops it being passed on. And as we pull away from Joe's energy, he did leave by saying Michael Jackson's children are owed money. And he said that Paris Jackson and also the older boy, Michael Jr., will go on to sue. And I feel they will sue a music label. He's given me 2025. He's given me 5 years. I do feel it's 2025, but he's saying they're owed money. They are owed money. So they've got more of Michael's money to inherit. A lot of apologies, a lot of sorries, a lot of forgiveness, and him wanting people to know that he has to forgive himself to be at peace, and he is trying his best to do that. Intense energy from Joe Jackson, intense. Okay, so we're moving on to Joe Jackson's wife, mother of the Jackson children, Miss Katherine Jackson. Miss Katherine was born on the 4th of May, which I didn't know, the day before my birthday. 4th of May 1930, making her 91. Now, as I tap into Katherine's energy now, she just feels so like withdrawn and quiet. I feel like she doesn't go out a lot, but I feel like that's how she was anyway, because I've got that here. One of the very first things I picked up on for Miss Katherine was loneliness, and I feel like that's a theme that really ran throughout her life from childhood. She was always very lonely. I feel like she found it very difficult to make friends as a child. I don't know if she was an only child, but there is this energy of being in her family home and feeling alone. Similarly to Joe Jackson, this is a child who was not able to express emotions. So obviously you're coming to parents now that weren't able to express emotions as children, and it's passed on, and this is how generational trauma is passed on. So I really feel so much sadness and emotion just suppressed in Katherine Jackson's, well, this whole area here, the throat and the heart. She's dealt with a lot of heartbreak, a lot of sadness, a lot of grief, but never really been able to express it, never really been able to showcase it or show it. And it's you know, she always had to be like the backbone and again hold everything in and support. And I even wrote here, you know, without mothering and grandmothering, she's lost. That's all she knows. And I feel like that was the same from a young age. It's like she had to be responsible from a young age. Like Katherine Jackson learned how to mother from a young age. So I don't know if her parents were, I don't know if they were alcoholics or addicts or something that made her have to step up. If anyone knows this, like, please do leave in the comments. But I just really do feel that there was an energy of her having to grow up before her time and not really ever being able to express herself. A lot of see things in silence and don't speak and don't say anything and suppress. Even to this day, there's so much she's sitting on. I feel like she's become numb to it in her old age, I'll be honest. But she's always been a very quiet person. I feel like for her whole life, she never felt she was able to truly express who she was or explore her own interests or her own passions. And this is from a young child. I just feel like there was no real space for her to do that. She's always lived for other people. I think I even put that here. I feel like, you know, yeah, never really got to express herself. Unfulfilled dreams, unfulfilled knowing of self, unfulfilled self-connection. And even in this old age when she's on her own now, because she is on her own, her husband has passed away, her children have left home. That's why she really did, you know, really want to raise Michael Jackson's children, because it was like, yes, you know, any distraction from her own pain, and I don't think it's an intentional thing, because I don't think she's actually aware of it. It is a subconscious decision that she makes to distract herself from her pain. She's someone who doesn't talk a lot, very sensitive soul, but again, always struggle to show emotions because I don't feel like Miss Katherine never felt safe to show her emotions or to speak up or to voice her opinion or to say anything. It was like she didn't feel, not fearful that something would happen to her. It's like almost like she felt unworthy. She didn't feel good enough to speak or to say what she wanted to say because of how much she had been condemned as a child and how much she'd been made to feel a little bit worthless and not good enough. I just feel this energy of her whole life always feeling like the second pick or the last one, or just this energy of not feeling good enough, which is honestly, I feel, why she stayed with Joe Jackson. Through all the abuse and all of the not being treated very well, I feel like she stayed because her worth and her self-esteem wasn't high enough to be like, I can do better and I can be on my own and do this on my own. She definitely could. She's a strong woman, but didn't know her own strength. And that is the damage that can happen when you don't know your own strength. You don't stand up and say when things are wrong. You let things happen without, you know, voicing your opinion, and then you have to deal with the emotions. And it's a quite a toxic thing with yourself, because it's almost like, okay, I can see these things happening and I know it's wrong, and I know, like, I can see it's wrong, but I don't trust that I know. And then I beat myself up about it because I don't know, and then I live in sadness. And so to distract myself from that, I give back to others in other ways. And in some ways, it's almost like she was enabling, because it's like, okay, I let you down in this way, but let me enable you in this way, and let me support you in any other way I can. And so let me just give because I couldn't help you in other ways. And it was a really toxic thing from Miss Katherine, because I do feel that she saw a lot of things happen to the children, and she didn't stand up for it in a way they felt she could have. And then to make up for that, she overexerted herself. And this is something I feel like she carried from childhood. And it's something to do with her mother and her father's relationship, and just this responsibility that she carried. And it's just learnt behaviour. Again, it's this ancestral learnt behaviour. So we're moving on to Janet Jackson, who I love, is my favourite Jackson. Love her. Now, Janet, I've always felt, has really separated herself from the family. Although she can't run away from being a Jackson. She is Janet Jackson, okay? Apart from Michael, there is a real disconnect from Janet and the rest of the family. And if Michael was with any one of his siblings, it is Janet. I do feel they had such a closeness. And as I connected to her energy, it was really beautiful. I heard "You Are Not Alone" spiritually come through as a download, and it was so beautiful. I had to play it because I really do feel like, again, there is this feeling of loneliness with Janet, and Michael's energy almost wanted to come in and be like, you are not alone. You are not alone. I am here with you. And sorry, it's so emotional, and it's quite beautiful that even in the depths of, you know, trauma which did tear the family apart, these two managed to stay very close-knit. Michael Jackson's passing really traumatized Janet Jackson, and Janet Jackson really did want to raise his children, but again, these are children, and they're not children, they're grown adults, very grown, 50s, 60s, but they do not argue with their parents. When their parents say no, even now in the ages of big 50 and big 60, they don't argue. So when Miss Katherine said, no, I'm going to raise the children, Janet didn't argue. But I do really feel that Janet would have loved to have raised Michael Jackson's children, and she would have been magnificent at it. Janet Jackson is someone who was born to be a mother, but motherhood doesn't come easy to her. I feel that motherhood is something that she struggles with because it brings out a lot of her own trauma and it triggers her a lot. I feel like seeing her son's interaction with his father, seeing how her son wants to interact with her, this is her learning to be a parent in a way that she wasn't parented. Janet's energy feels so Tauri, and it's ridiculous, and I can't believe, I don't know whether I picked up on it in the last reading that I did for her, but she really does have Taurus energy. She's very headstrong, and although she has been through emotional trauma, she is quite emotionally wise, and I would say out of all of the Jacksons, again, I'm linked back to the voices. Like, Janet Jackson does have that high voice, but it's nowhere near as high. It's not in that childlike register, and she's definitely one who was able to develop and express herself in her own way. And Janet, as a Taurian, is a little bit rebellious in the sense of, like, you cannot tell me what to do, and that's nice, but I'm still going to do what I want to do, and that's how she is, and that's how she was. And I feel like by the time her parents kind of got to, like, mothering her, because she is one of the younger children, they were just tired anyway, and they were like, do you know what, just whatever. I feel like Janet left home from a young age. I don't know what age she did leave home, but Janet Jackson feels so independent. She feels like such an independent soul. One of the things I really wanted to tap on and into is, will she ever find love again? Because I do feel like she is someone who loves love and loves being in love and loves loving and all of that. She's definitely a relationship kind of woman. And I do feel she will. I do feel she will meet someone else. But I don't feel like she has met them yet. Again, I picked up on this the last time I read for her, and it's still very much in her heart. There is someone she loved from her past. There's a man she loved in her past who still to this day, and I feel like they are possibly still in touch actually, he just has her heart. He has her heart. He's in her heart. He has her heart. But I just feel like he has a piece of her heart and she has a piece of his, and I feel like they have a very special place in each other's life, and this is a person she will always love. I don't feel it is a rekindlation with this person. I feel like this is a new love that she will find, and I don't know if it will ever be publicised, but this is a man who can love her and who I feel like she will be with until the end of her life. I do see her son going from hers to overseas, to her house to overseas, because I feel like her and her ex-partner are in different countries. Having to share her child as well when, you know, she already is going through all this emotional trauma, reliving, you know, all of her childhood trauma through raising a child, which often does happen, I hear. Having to then, you know, part with him for certain amounts of time is very difficult. But she's growing from it and she's learning. Janet Jackson isn't someone who you can pin down or keep her down. She's definitely a survivor. Spirit tell me as well, there may be a legacy award or some kind of anniversary coming up in terms of Janet's music. I don't know if it's the first anniversary of one of her first albums or anniversary of something she's done in music. There's something to be commemorated and awarded, because I feel roses coming from Spirit, and I also feel like trophies being handed to her from Spirit as well. There's a lot of proud energy coming from Spirit to her, and I feel like there's always one in the family who will go on and break the generational curse. Doesn't have to just be one, but there is usually one, and I feel like Janet is the person in the family whose job was always going to be to break the generational pattern. Spirit are very, very proud of her. A lot of love surrounding Janet Jackson. I do feel, like I said, I do feel like she will love again. It is an older man, but then she is older. I feel like it's someone of her own age. It's not anyone that's younger than her or anything like that. It's someone who's her old age, oh my goodness, someone who is her own age, who has their own business and their own thing going on, and I feel like she'll find security in that, and she will have Spirit that's saying she is due a happy ever after, and I feel like she will have that happy ever after that she is due. But so much love, Janet. If you do ever come across this reading, I love you. But there is so much love coming to you from Spirit, and a lot of applause for the healing work and trauma work that she has done, because like I said, out of all of the family, she has been the one to overcome and work through the most. Paris Jackson. So Paris Jackson was born on the 3rd of April 1998, making her 23 years old. Paris hasn't even started. there's so much that I feel for her, and I just feel as I tap into her energy, she's just figuring herself out. She's just figuring herself out. Spirit are just so adamant that you haven't seen anything yet from her. Paris is going to go on, Spirit tell me she's going to go on to have a very beautiful family. I feel like she's going to marry a musician, a very hippie musician. I'm not saying it is a Marley or anyone like that, but I see her with someone who is like a Skip Marley energy. But wouldn't that be an amazing couple, let's just say. I do see her with someone who has maybe like dreadlocks and long hair and plays the guitar and is very hippie, because that's who she is. And I do see that when she does get married, and I feel like she will marry young, it will be forever. Paris Jackson is a very loyal person. She's very responsible. Again, this is a girl who's had to grow up before her time. Spirit want to give her acting. I feel like Paris will dabble still, you know, she dabbles in music, she dabbles in modelling, but I feel like acting is actually something she will do very well in. She will get one acting role, and Spirit tell me that that will give her the bug and she'll want to do more. I actually feel with Paris Jackson that she'll do documentaries and documentary making, because Spirit tell me that I picked up on this in the last reading I did, I think, for Michael Jackson. She knows a lot about him that hasn't been told, and I feel like she wants to tell her father's story in her own way. I feel like the reason I was drawn to read for Paris rather than the other children is because she is the light carrier. I do see her being the light carrier, which is why I feel so drawn to read for her. There's a lot of humanitarian and charity and philanthropy work that Michael Jackson wanted to complete that he didn't get to complete, and I feel like Paris will complete that. I feel like I may have talked about that before, but I really feel like it's not the music that she will carry on, because Michael fulfilled music in every way possible, didn't he? It's not that, it's the philanthropy, it's his energy is here, sorry, yeah, because as his energy comes close, he wants to talk about the earth and the state it's in and the energy, but it's the earth work, it's the energy work, it's the healing work. Michael Jackson was a healer, and I feel like Paris is also a healer, and in order to heal others we have to heal ourselves first, and so she's just figuring things out first for herself. Give her about 3 or 4 years and she will then be prepared to go on. I see Paris Jackson setting up like an organisation or like a charitable non-profit thing where she does go on to aid charities and help worldwide. I see her specifically visiting like Africa and like third world countries, which is what her dad did as well. I see Paris as she gets older becoming more vocal, speaking out about a lot of things, racial injustices, gender issues, being very vocal and political. That is really her part of her life purpose. Her father is very proud. Again, a lot of proudness and a lot of love for Paris Jackson coming through. So much work for her to go on and do, and her life path looks very, very exciting. Yeah, see her setting up a foundation, possibly in her father's name. See her becoming involved in film and documentary and movies and really loving that creative aspect of it, because she is a very creative soul. I see 2 children for Paris Jackson. I feel she will have a boy and a girl. There's a lot of mixed messages coming in for Paris because there is a lot coming in. As she gets older, and like I say, she will file a lawsuit for money that she is owed as part of her inheritance from her father. I also am being told she will purchase one of her father's properties. Now I don't know whether it is Neverland, but I see her going and purchasing not just her father's property but also items of his that were maybe possibly auctioned off. I feel that items of his were sold where they shouldn't have been towards the end of his life, and I feel like a lot of her life path is closing up his, because Michael Jackson left before his time. Let's get that clear. He left before he got to really close things down, because towards the end of his life he was in a very meditative state. He wasn't really present. He wasn't able to really have closure on earth, and so physical closure, she is being tasked with that. So closing up a lot of physical things like getting items back, getting property back, making sure money's in the right place. These are things that she's tasked with, and Paris is very spiritual, so I feel like intuitively she does know this. But in the long run I see a very happy life for Paris. She hasn't had a very easy start at all, but in the long run I do feel a happy life for her. I feel a happy family life for her. I feel she will find her footing, because she is, just like I said, finding herself. She's only young, she's 23. Just turned, so she's very young. There's a lot to be seen from Paris Jackson. It is exciting for her, and she's getting a lot of energy and backing from spirit to do this, so all the best to her. Love and light. Michael Jackson was born on the 29th of August 1958 and sadly passed away on the 25th of June 2009 at the age of 50. I've read for Michael Jackson before, and I will leave that down in the description box below. Michael was so misunderstood, and such a misunderstood soul and energy. And I've been actually channeling Michael's energy for days. And when I began to listen to, you know, They Don't Really Care About Us, which is a song I'm always drawn to, because there's no other song like it. No one has ever released a song like They Don't Really Care About Us. And if you don't know that song, then please go listen to it if you can. I know it's like blocked in some countries, which says a lot in itself, which is what he said to me. He said, doesn't it say a lot that that song is blocked? Michael Jackson had so much wisdom, and he knew so much. He had mixed with so many high elite people. He was dangerous to those in the elite. He was dangerous because he saw what was wrong, and in his pure and good soul wanted to make it right. When I picture Michael Jackson's energy, all I see is white light, and I'm very clear as I connect with him that he was torn down. There is a reason that all of the people that are labelled crazy, insane, all of these things by the media, there is a reason that they're labelled that, because they know things. The media don't just go after people for no reason. If the media are openly tearing someone down, I pay very close attention to what that person is saying. Michael Jackson was hunted and hounded by the media, and it's not for no reason. It's not for no reason he was labelled the things he was labelled. It's not for no reason he was accused of the things he was accused of. It's not for no reason he was taken down in the way he was taken down, because he was a white light in a dark circle. And once he saw what was happening, he didn't want any part of it. I can feel how pure his soul was, and Spirit is very adamant that I know that. Now, Michael's energy really wants to talk about Earth. All I keep hearing is Earth. All I want to sing is the Earth song. He's very adamant about Earth and the state of Earth and how much it saddens him. And as he shows me Earth, he just shows it black, which is really scary. He shows me just a black circle, and he's saying, light workers, he is calling you. Healers, he is calling you. Emotional aids, he is calling you. If you practice any meditation, anything like that, he is calling you. He's asking you to stand up and be light where possible, because the world right now is in darkness. He's very adamant about that. He is talking about the way we treat the planet, the way we treat ourselves, the way we treat everything on the planet, nature, the sea, mud, soil, earth, flowers, trees. He's very adamant, plant trees, nurture soil, clean water, be the change you want to see. He's very adamant, and I mean, he was very active about this when he was on Earth anyway. I mean, Man in the Mirror says it all. If you just listen to any of Michael's songs, Man in the Mirror, Earth Song, Heal the World, We Are the World, he was very adamant about his purpose and his life mission. And it's really interesting because even though he was the king of music, king of pop, king of music, his legacy, he wants to be about changing the earth to make it a better place. Heal the world, make it a better place. He is talking very much about the selfishness acts of humankind these days, and how we need, I can hear his voice. He's saying no. I always want to imitate it, but I won't. He's saying no, we need to learn to give to one another. We need to learn to share kindness and express love. And he's like waving his hand and turning this black circle into whiteness. He is saying that change is slowly coming, and he wants to reassure people that light is coming as well. And he's saying, you know, even in your darkest days, if you can just feel a little bit of love, you are helping. He's saying it's very easy to feel helpless in a massive world. It's very easy to feel helpless in a world that is governed by darkness. But know that you can be the light. Know that if each one of us stands up as light, then we will turn the world into light. He's saying, listen to my music, listen to my songs, because it was intentionally made with love. And just that vibration will help to lift the planet. Be intentional, he's saying. Be intentional. Be intentional with your love. Be intentional with your kindness. Be intentional with your actions. Break those chains. Break those ancestral trauma patterns. Break those chains of hatred. If someone's showing you hate, show them love. Be kind. Forgive. Michael Jackson doesn't have too much to say on his passing or anything like that. The one thing he did just want to say, and I really do feel strongly, like so strong, is that we must learn to treat the planet better. It is not ours. This planet is not ours, and in the state it is in, the least we can do is show up and as love and light beings. He's saying he forgave a long time ago. He has nothing but love for this earth and this planet. He is working with earth angels and trying to surround the earth in light, and he asks that you show up and do the same. The Jacksons are intense. Thank you so much for watching, lovelies. I do hope you enjoyed today's Read the Room. If you did, please do hit a lovely thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed already, then please do join our lovely family by hitting subscribe below. Thank you so much for being with me, for all your love and your support, and I will see you soon for another video. Bye.